Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Patreon podcast. I apologize if the acoustics are a little different today, but I am sitting inside at the office because it's very, very cold out, and I don't want to sit in my car any more than is necessary right now. So this week I wanted to talk about the idea of efficiency and the fact that efficiency isn't necessarily correlated with how fast you do something. And what I mean by this is usually when you talk about efficiency, it's how many of this have you done in this amount of time? And while that's a good metric to gauge it by, I feel that it's important to realize that efficiency is more about wasted effort and wasted resources. Because it's not necessarily how quickly you do something, it's how much waste that you have after you're done doing it. So if you, what's a good example? So if, like, for a creative process, if you are doing something quickly, you might have a lot of mistakes in it. So if during the 2-hour track challenge, for example, usually, and this is a little behind the scenes, usually after the stream, I go back and spend another 5 to 10 minutes fixing up things that I just didn't get to during the stream. And I do this because my process wasn't efficient enough during the time frame. And that's really a good example for this, because it's not about how well I did something, how pristine it is. It's figuring out all of the little mistakes that I just couldn't fix during the process. And those are lapses in efficiency for me, and those are things that I can work on fixing. However, it's also important to note that during that time frame, I got a lot done. So it's not like I'm beating myself up over it. It's just that's part of the process. So basically what I'm getting at is to not gauge how good something went by how fast it went. If you can make a song in 2 hours, that's great. But if you have to spend another hour after that fixing it up, then really you made a song in 3 hours. So it's important to keep this in mind when you're creating things, to find those bottlenecks, find those places in your workflow that cause issues and cause disruptions in the general flow of things, because those are the places where you can sit down and take a very mindful look at what you're doing and try to figure out why those particular places are causing issues, and then you can fix those and make your process more efficient. And in doing so, you'll reduce waste and frustration during the process. Even if it takes the same amount of time, your process is still more efficient. Now, conversely, when I think about efficiency, I also think about frustration. And this is something that happens to me when I'm having a bad day, or I'm frustrated at something. It's like I'm trying to do something and I'm trying to do it quickly, and when I try to do it quickly, I become sloppy. And when I become sloppy, I make mistakes, which makes me more frustrated, and it's kind of this cycle that keeps perpetrating on itself. And I think that that's the other way to look at being efficient, where efficiency isn't speed. It's getting things done in a mindful and accurate way, to where you don't have that negative feedback loop of, well, this is bad, so I have to do it again, but now this is bad, and then I'm getting frustrated, so my quality is going down every time I try, and it's a real bad loop to get into, and I've definitely been trying to avoid that lately, but it's very hard. So that's really all that I had for this episode, but I think that it's an important topic to keep in mind when you are working on your projects. Maybe not necessarily during the process of making the project, because you want to be in that flow state, you want to be in that creative state, and you don't want to be analyzing everything you do. But I think there's value in doing a post-mortem, which is another topic that I would love to talk about at some point. But basically just going back and taking a look at how the project came together, how it was finished, and how it was put out there, and your thoughts about each step of the way on that. And making sure that you have that stuff in your mind when you work on the next project. So you know where the bottlenecks are and where the hazards are when you start working on your next project, so you can try to avoid those. Because the only wasted thing about a mistake is doing it again. So if you make a mistake and you learn from it, it's not a mistake, it's a learning opportunity. But if you make a mistake and you don't learn from it, then it's just a mistake. So it's important to keep all of that in mind and have a very mindful look at your projects after they're done, so you can work on making that process more efficient next time. And that's really all I have. So thank you so much for being a patron supporter. I really genuinely appreciate it. And thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful week. And I'll talk to you next time. Be remarkable.